Hi guys, hope you're all well and doing okay. Alright, so here's just a little tutorial on the postures that we use in our basic sun salutation. Okay, so this will give you a good guide for the movements that we make with a few little technique tips. So I'll break each movement down and then we can put them together into a sun salutation. Alright, so coming into mountain pose first of all. Now you can do this with your feet together or you can do it with your feet under your hips. So it's just sort of finding where you feel balanced. When we bring the feet together it can make us feel a little bit unbalanced. Alright, so if you're just starting out you might want to bring your feet under your hips. But even if you're a seasoned yogi, okay, just take it day by day. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to start from the ground up. Alright, now just close your eyes for a moment and just start to notice where your weight is. So you might find you're rocking forwards, you might find you're rocking back, you might find you're shifting to one side or the other. So just bring yourself into the centre so that you feel the weight equal in both feet. Now we're going to lift up the toes, just spread your toes, gently press them back down onto the mat so you feel equal pressure on your toes, around the heels, and then just lift up through the feet without moving them, so we're lifting up through the inner arches. Now from there, we're just going to gently squeeze through the thighs so we get a little bit more leg engagement. Now checking where your pelvis is. Is it rocking forwards? Is it rocking backwards? So we want to find a neutral spine position. So you might even want to just tilt forwards and back a little bit and then just find that place in the middle where your back is in a nice neutral position with a natural curve. Alright, now brace your belly just ever so slightly. And let's lift up through the sternum. Now if you feel your lower ribs just start to expand and flare out, just draw your ribs down towards your hips, but keep the lift up through the sternum. So you should feel some engagement now through your torso. Let's lift the shoulders up and then draw them back and down. So you feel your shoulder blades sliding in towards your spine. The eye gaze is forwards and we want length through the back of the neck. So just check in that your chin isn't tucked or lifted. And we should have a long line from the ear to the shoulder to the hip to the ankle. And then the crown of the head is just lifting up towards the ceiling and we should feel quite strong in this position even though we're just standing still. Alright, so that's mountain. Alright, strong as a rock. Now when we come to extended mountain, alright, so you can choose always however you transition. Some people like to circle their arms wide and high. Some people like to draw them up the front. Just go with what feels good. Sometimes in the practices we will have different arm lines, alright, but for the purposes of just a practice, just go however you feel you want to go. Now the hands are slightly forwards at the face and we want to relax the shoulders down here. So if you feel that your shoulders are hunching up towards your ears, you might even want to keep your hands slightly apart. So we can relax the shoulders down, the eye gaze stays where it is and we still feel that length through the body with everything beautifully aligned. Okay? So that's extended mountain pose. Alright. Now from extended mountain pose we do come down to a forward fold. Alright. So today all we're going to do is we're just going to roll down into the forward fold. Now soften your knees as much as you need to so you can get your hands flat to the floor. It really doesn't matter whether the knees are quite a bit bent here. So for the forward fold, we want to gently lift up the tummy just to support the back. The chin is tucked in so the crown of the head points straight down towards the ground and the eye gaze is towards your knees.
We're aiming to bring the hands on the side of the feet, so then when we step back into plank in our Sun Salutation, the shoulders will be above the wrists, all right? It's going to help with alignment. But don't worry if your hands are slightly forwards first of all, you can always draw them back later on. Now again, check in with your weight. Are you tipping forwards, are you tipping back? Or have you still got that lovely equal pressure all the way around your feet? Let's lie the chest down on the thighs. Again, don't worry how much knee bend you need here. And then we can start to push gently through the heels, lifting up the tailbone, and then just wriggling in, chest towards the thighs, keeping a lovely length through the back body, through the front body, and through the legs. Okay, let's roll it up. All right, how did your forward fold feel? Okay, let's come down onto the floor. So just come on down, so we'll set the plank pose up. So in plank pose, we have the hands directly under the shoulders. Now you can start in horse stance here just to get the feel of where the shoulders are aligned above the wrists. And as you look straight down, you'll notice your eye gaze is in between your hands. We want to tuck the toes underneath. And horse stance is always a great option, okay, when we're doing our Sun Salutations, if you don't want to come into plank pose. To come into plank pose, we just take the knees behind the hips. Notice the shoulders are still aligned above the wrists. And if we tuck the toes underneath here and just gently press down into the toes, you'll start to feel an engagement through your core, so through your lower abdominals. You want to keep those nice and lifted just to support the back. The shoulders are rolling back, so again the shoulder blades are coming in towards the spine. The eye gaze remains in between the hands, or just slightly forwards of the hands. So we've got a nice long line from the crown of the head, through the spine to the tailbone. So you can always work plank pose on the knees here, or lifting up to straighten the legs. So the position, you notice, feet don't change. All right, so either knees down or knees off. Now if we're here, we just want to gently squeeze the bum. Now press out through the heels, lift up through the thighs, and then lengthen through the back as if you're going to headbutt something in front of you. So you'll feel full engagement, front, back, sides of the body, and also weight bearing through the shoulders, through the arms, through the wrists. Okay, release. You might just want to pull back ever so slightly into child's pose. Okay, now, little tip here, wrist issues. Okay, so if you feel uncomfortableness through your wrists, now we don't often take our wrists into this full range of extension, okay? So your natural is probably less than 90 degrees. So we're always asking our wrists to come further, okay? So if your wrists are quite tight, all right, you can always do a little bit of mobilization before you start, just moving around a little bit, okay? Roll them around. If you feel when you're doing your practice that you are getting some pain, well, we never want pain, all right? We never, if you get pain, you need to stop, all right? But if you feel, your wrists are tight and it's like, oh, it's a little bit too much, what you can do is just fold over the front of your mat. Now, the hand position here is important, all right? So when we place the hands onto the folded mat, what this does is the heel of the hand is slightly elevated from where the fingers are down, So it takes the hand from 90 degrees and just reduces the angle of the extension slightly. All right, so you might find that's more comfortable. One thing to avoid is actually sort of putting layers here, okay? Because what that will do is if we say doubled it over or even tripled it over and then put the full weight on, what that is actually going to do is the heel of your hand is going to sink even lower, so it's actually going to take your wrist further, okay, because the weight is going to push it down. Don't know whether you can see that, okay, so can you see it's actually coming beyond that angle. But if we just fold it over and have the heel of the hand on the mat, it's reducing the angle here. All right, so you can play around. So always fingers over the front if you need a little bit of elevation. All right, so that's plank pose. Now when we come into crocodile pose, so we come into crocodile from plank. So we're in the plank position, and then to lower down to the ground through crocodile. Crocodile is as well a pose in its own right, but we often use it just as a transition. Now we tuck the elbows in as we lower. So if you draw your shoulder blades in towards your spine, if you notice what's happening with my arms, all right, my elbows will start to turn ever so slightly towards the back of the mat. So as we lower, we're tucking the elbows in and we're aiming to keep a long line through the spine. The elbows are pointing back towards the mat, and then we can lower down to the floor and release. Okay, let me just move back a little bit. I don't know whether I'm shooting off the front of my mat. Excuse me. I've got a bit of a cough today. No, I don't think I'm poorly. I think it's just one of those things. All right, so again, we can do crocodile on our knees or on our toes, okay? The same principles apply with plank. So we want to push the toes into the floor. We want to lift up the tummy, roll the shoulders back, toes or knees. The chest comes forwards. We tuck in. We're pushing away with the heels. We're pushing forwards with the crown of the head. And we've got the biceps by the ribs. And then we can lower down, okay? All right, so you can have a little play with that one. Again, you might want to just roll out your wrists. Great for weight bearing, increasing bone density. All right, so the next posture we come into is we have baby cobra or up dog. Let's go through baby cobra first of all. So when we've lowered down, plank to crocodile. So you'll notice as you lower down, the chest is coming forwards. So the hands are pretty much sort of underneath where the lower ribs are, where the upper ribs are, sorry. Now we want to untuck the toes here. The elbows are still tucking in towards the back of the mat. The eye gaze is currently down. We're going to gently squeeze the bum, and as we do that, we create a little bit of length through the lowest back. We roll the shoulders back and we lift up into cobra. Now, the height that you lift to is the height where you could be unsupported. So if you take your hands off, we should be able to hold this pose using the strength in the back. Okay? Lower down. Just relax. We can come into a higher cobra where we start to lift a little higher, but again, we want to be able to take the hands off and maintain this work through the back. Okay, lower down. All right, have a little release. So you notice in cobra, the thighs are on the floor, the hips are on the floor. It's literally just the chest that is lifting and opening. So it's great for opening up the front body and strengthening the back body. To go from cobra If we want a little bit more, we can lift to upward facing dog. Now the hands are in the same position, so we've lowered down. We're going to push through the hands and push through the feet, top of the feet, and lift off. So the thighs are off, the hips are off, the tailbone is pointing down towards the heels, the eye gaze is coming forwards, we're rolling the shoulders back, and then we can just breathe and enjoy. It's a strong pose. Okay, lower down. All right, so whether you want to have a little practice between the cobra and up dog, get the feel. So remember, in up dog, the hips are off, the thighs are off, the chest is lifting, and we're really opening up the front body. Now with your legs, think of them as being really active. So we want to point the toes away, and if you think about a snake, a cobra, your legs are the cobra's tail, and you're rearing up like a cobra ready to strike. So that applies whether it's cobra or up dog. If you're coming into up dog, you might even want to pull your hips forward slightly just to increase the back bend. Okay, good. Pull back, little child's pose. Whew. Okay. From the back bend, we're going to come into downward facing dog. So before we actually link those two movements together, let's come back into horse stance. So the hands are under the shoulders, the knees are under the hips. Now just bring your hands slightly forwards of your shoulders. Find the hand position that works for you. The middle finger can point forwards, or you might even want to just turn them out slightly so the index finger is pointing forwards. All right, find the position that works for your wrists. But the hands are generally facing forwards or just ever so slightly turned out. Tuck the toes underneath, and here we're going to push through the hands, push through the toes. Now feel lots of engagement through your core, through your shoulders, and then with a big exhale, let's lift the hips up and back. Now don't worry if your heels don't come towards the ground, or don't touch the ground. Now your feet are going to be about hip distance apart. A good way to find a little guide for this is actually if you turn one foot in, your heel should touch the inside line of the other foot. So as you swivel it back out, all right, that's whereabouts you need to be. I'm starting to slide. Now bend your knees, lift your heels really high, and now start to lift your tailbone up and back. The eye gaze is towards the feet, the tailbone is lifting, and the chest is gently pressing towards your thighs. Release, just come out. Okay. My hands are slipping. Excuse me. Oh dear me. All right, frog in my throat today. All right, so let's go back in when you're ready. All right, so lifting up and back. Check your position. So we've got the heels really high, the knees are bent, and that will facilitate and enable you to get that lovely, lovely length through the spine. Now push into your hands. Draw your shoulder blades in towards your spine so your upper arms are rolling out slightly. Now see if you can roll your inner thighs out slightly, and you'll feel an amazing sensation happening through your legs, through the tailbone, lifting a little higher. And then from here, we just start to lower the heels, keeping the lift in the tailbone. As soon as you start to feel that lift coming away, stop. A couple of breaths. And release. Hey, how was that? Energetic. So when we put it all together, from a downward facing dog, we'll just be walking our feet back into forward fold. Okay, and then we lift back up to extended mountain and resetting mountain. So you ready to try a sun salutation? So this is the basic sun salutation that we do use in my kind of yoga. All right, each practice, sometimes it can be a little bit different. We might put in three-legged dogs, we might put in lunges, but this is the basic one. All right, so we generally always start with this one and then maybe play around. We don't always play around. So let's find our mountain. We'll have a couple of rounds. So lifting the arms nice and high, coming to extended mountain. So remember, hands together or apart. Now we're going to hinge at the hip into forward fold. Let's circle the arms wide to come down. Start to soften the knees. Keep length through the back body. Keep length through the front body. And then lay your chest on your thighs, tuck your chin, crown of the head to the floor, hands to floor, lift up the tummy. Forward fold. Stepping back to plank. The hands are under the shoulders, we step back, the feet are coming hip distance. We can drop to the knees here. Lower down, through crocodile to the ground. So tuck your elbows in. Remember, we're pushing down with the toes. And then we're going to lift to cobra. So untuck the feet, roll the shoulders back, gentle squeeze through the bum. Now let's lower back down here. Push up and back to downward facing dog. So tuck the toes underneath. We can push from the knees here. Lifting up, downward facing dog. Look forwards, bend your knees, walk your feet into your hands. Standing forward fold. Let's circle the arms wide and high, so soften your knees again. Lift up, reset. Okay? Let's add a little bit of breath. It's like, what? I'm trying to think about what I'm doing. I can't think about breathing. Did you breathe through that or did you hold your breath? Inhale, so breathe in through the nose. Extended mountain. Exhale, hinge from the hip, lift up your tummy, lower down, forward fold. Inhale, back to plank. Step the feet back, toes pushing into the floor. Exhale, lower down through crocodile. We're going to breathe in, tuck the feet, inhale, baby cobra or upward facing dog. Land the knees, exhale, downward facing dog. Breathing in, walk the feet in. Exhale, fully fold. Breathe in, soften your knees and rise. Breathe out to mountain. Okay? Should we do it one more time together? Let's go. Inhale, extended mountain. Exhale, forward fold. Breathe in, plank. Breathe out, lower through crocodile. Inhale, baby cobra or up dog. Exhale, down dog. Inhale, walk the feet in. Exhale, fold. Breathe in, extended mountain. Breathe out, mountain. All right? Okay, great. So that's our basic sun salutation. When we're doing the MyFlow practice, we often use a little flow for linking. So that could be if we've been in a posture here or a posture here, wherever it might be, we can put part of the sun salutation in for a linking flow. So how that would work, let's say we're in Warrior 2 for example. We will lower down to the floor, so we end up in a lunge. The front knee is always going to be directly above the ankle. The hands are on either side of the foot underneath the shoulders. So we start with plank. So we inhale to plank. Exhale, lower down. Inhale. Exhale, down dog. Breathing in. Breathing out, forward fold. Inhale to rise. Exhale to reset. So when we're doing our linking flow, our little linking vinyasa, we generally start with plank. So it's part of that sun salutation sequence. When we're doing the options of linking flows, you don't have to do the full vinyasa. A vinyasa is some poses linked together. So you might want to just do some cats. Cat cow. So let's say we've come back from the warrior two again. We come back to the lunge, so we're all here together. Now you can go to horse stance. We looked at horse stance before. If you've watched the little Sunday Zen, you will have seen this. So we can lift to cow, tuck to cat, and then you can go to downward facing dog, walk the feet in, forward fold, rise, and we always end up back in mountain together. All right? So you can work it exactly how you want to work it. If you want to miss out the connecting flow altogether and just have a little forward fold or a child's pose or rest, that is absolutely fine. Okay? All right, so I hope you found that helpful. Any questions? Of course, please ask. All right? Have a great day. All right? Catch you next time. Bye.